What's up, guys? This is Open Source Fiend, and today I am going to correct the mistake I made in my last video. Not so much a mistake, just incomplete. So, the last video that I posted was about earlier today was about how to compile your own ffmpeg so that you can have hardware acceleration and so that you can have libpulse so that you can record multiple audio, or so that you can record any audio at all and still hear it through your speakers. So that video stands on its own. If you want to record stuff, if you want to record your screen with ffmpeg and be able to record audio in what I consider to be the right way, then you'll still need to do all the stuff in that video. But as I said in that video, the command that I was using was not exactly complete, and I was going to continue testing. So I have continued to test, and I would like to show you guys what I came up with. So record. So this is it. This is the script that I came up with. First of all, I'd like to know that the thing is recording. So, well, I mean, if you just run ffmpeg, you know that it's recording. You don't necessarily know that you can hit Q to quit, to stop recording. So in my other terminal tab here, I have the actual one that's recording this video. So you'll notice that I just ran this file, and it's telling me to press Q to quit, and it's not displaying any other output. The normal ffmpeg recording procedure, I don't know, whatever. It's constantly putting stuff into the terminal, so I turned that off. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it, how I did it. This comment up here is important. Remember, this is just a test. This is just for you guys to get on your feet. This is not a full-fledged project, or it's not even really a script other than a script file that contains a terminal command. So, this is just a starting point. So, what does this thing do? First line is run ffmpeg. Second line -y. It's up to you whether or not you want to keep that. That will overwrite the file that that ffmpeg creates. So in this case, all the way down at the bottom here, output.mkv, every single time I run this script, that file is going to be overwritten. So don't use this script as is if you need to save all of your recordings and you're not going to be diligent about moving the files. Like I said, I'm just using this for testing. I put the -y in there because it's still, when you run it and you don't have that, ffmpeg is going to ask if you want to overwrite. But while it's waiting for you to answer, it's still buffering, it's still accepting video and audio input, and I don't know whether or not it writes it to disk. My guess is that it doesn't, because it's waiting for your permission to overwrite the file. I don't know. So anyway, in my own testing, I just did it for performance. -y overwrites the file, so be careful. Second argument here is loglevel equal to panic. So that's what turned off ffmpeg putting out a bunch of stuff to the terminal. So if you don't want to see any of that stuff, loglevel panic is how you do it. Probesize 25M. I don't honestly know what that does, but it fixed a warning that ffmpeg was giving me. Frame rate is equal to 60. I already covered that in my last one. That's 60 FPS. Video size, cover that in my last one. That's the resolution. Thread queue size equal to 512. I don't know what that means, and you'll see it before every single input source here. I don't know what it does, but it fixes a warning. And you might be thinking, well, how can you know, why did you put it there? How did you know that that was going to fix your problem if you don't actually know what it does? And the answer to that is that the error, or it wasn't an error, the warning that ffmpeg was giving me in the terminal output says, hey, we encountered this problem, you might want to change this variable. One of the warnings was about the probe size variable, one of the warnings was about the thread queue size variable. or argument. So that's how I knew to set them. The numbers are pretty much just made up. They worked on my machine. I stress this again, this is just for testing, so you might need to change these values on your own machine. Moving down to the X11 grab, I covered that in my last one. That's what grabs the video from your screen. Thread queue size, the next one, pulse, I covered that in my last video. This particular one is the analog stereo monitor. That is the speaker output, so that allows me to record the speaker output. This one, I covered that in my last video as well, analog mono. This is what allows me to capture the microphone input. Filter complex amix. Okay, so to be honest, I don't completely know what that does. And actually, I'm gonna have to give a shout out to another YouTuber. I gotta look him up. In my research for how to record multiple streams, I came across this guy's video, and that is where I got this particular argument. And this YouTuber is MrWhat. And this was the video that I watched to get that information. So if I skip forward a little bit, there it is. So we're not quite going to use that as is, but shout out to MrWhat. Thank you for helping me. So filter complex, and then this value, I mean, something mixer inputs equals 2. I really don't know what it does. Oh, I shouldn't say, I know what it does, I just don't know how it does it. I don't know how you would change it or modify it. This is going to create, I guess you could think of it as a virtual audio track. This is going to create a virtual audio track that combines these two audio sources. So I'll get to why I did that in a minute. So the last part of this particular argument is this mix part. So the brackets and then mix and then the closing bracket, that essentially just assigns the virtual track a name, which we're going to use below. This could be anything. I could call this anything I want, and as long as I change this down here, it'll be fine. I'm going to leave it at mix, but just know that you can change that if you want. Mix doesn't mean anything to ffmpeg in this context. So to recap, the filter complex is gonna combine the two audio inputs that I'm sending it. Next, we get to the maps. So each one of these arguments is going to create an individual track inside of our container file. What is the container file? The container file is this MKV that ffmpeg is going to create. Why is it called a container and not a video? The reason is that this particular file format, MKV, Matroska Video, is capable of, you can have multiple video and audio and I think subtitle tracks, as well as some other metadata in it. So we're going to take advantage of the fact that MKV allows us to have multiple tracks in a single file. And really, for any video, you need at least one video, one audio track. So every video's got at least 2 tracks for the most part. So anyway, each one of these maps is going to create an additional track or an additional stream inside of the MKV file. Excuse me. The first one here is the video. So this first number, so we got a number, a colon, and then a letter. The number indicates the track number. How do I know what the track number is? The track number this refers to the input track number. And I know that 0 contains a video track, which is the video track that we want, because the X11 grab was the first video, or it was the first input that I passed to ffmpeg. So each one of these -f's here, each one of those is a separate input, and as you walk down the list of arguments here, you've got the first one, the second one, and the third one. But you might say, why isn't it 1, 2, and 3 then? Why is it 0, 2, 1? A lot of things with computers, the first thing has an identifying number of 0. You might have heard to it called an index. So this first one, the X11, the one that's capturing our video, is at index 0. The second one, which is capturing our the speaker output, is at index 1, and the one that's capturing my mic input is index 2. So that's where these 0, 1, and 2 come from. So the colon, so the number indicates the input index. The colon, whatever, it's just a separator. The second portion of this, the letter, in this case V, ffmpeg knows that V indicates video, so it's going to pull the video track from the first input, which is what we want. We want the screen capture from X11. I'm going to skip mix for a minute. Number 1, which is our stereo out, which is the speaker output, we want the audio track from that. Number 2, which is the microphone input, we want the audio track from that. Last one is this mix here. So mix is just the variable name that I created right here inside of these brackets. Like I said before, this could be anything. This is just how you refer to that particular virtual track. And again, I don't know if virtual track is the right way to say that, but that's how I picture it. So I'm pulling the video. I'm pulling the virtual track of the two combined in audio channel or audio streams. Then I'm also having the first audio stream as its own track and the second audio stream as its own track. So there's a mix track, there is a speaker output track, there is a microphone input track. Something else to note, order matters. ffmpeg cares what order you put these arguments in. So as you're shuffling stuff around and modifying this to meet your needs, be aware of that. So I want my first track to be video. I want the second track to be the mix track, because when I record these videos and I'm talking over what's actually happening on screen, that's what I want the default track to be, the default audio track. So not only is that how I want to play them usually, but also when I upload these videos to YouTube, that's the one that YouTube is going to take. I think you can do multiple audio tracks in YouTube. I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but I know that YouTube takes the first track. So that's why I have them in this order. Honestly, having these tracks split out is really just in case I ever want to edit these later. When you mix the two tracks together, I've noticed that the volume decreases a little bit. I don't know how by how much, but it's noticeable. So if I were to do proper editing with these videos, by having each individual stream as its own track in the MKV file, I'm assuming that in any decent editor, you're not going to lose volume when you mix two tracks together. Really, this is just for convenience. So, yeah, if I ever get around to editing, these will come in handy. And if you don't want them, you can just delete them. If you know you're not going to do that, if you know that you just want the mix track, then you can delete the second and third map here, or the third and fourth maps here. So that's what the maps do. And we'll take a look at what that actually means in a second here. What do we got here? So, right, the encoder for video and audio, I went over that in my last track. And then finally the actual output file, which I also went over in my last track. So, in order to give you guys a demonstration, I'm going to run this command, but I'm going to run it with a different output file. So we can quit this. Oh, did I change something? What did I change? No, I didn't change anything. So we'll go, oh shit. Oh, I guess I did change something. What the hell did I change? Yeah, I didn't think so. Let's try that again. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna put this into a text editor first. No, I'm not, I'm too lazy. Oh, I see. It's because Nano's cutting the text off. Damn it. Alright, we're just gonna cat the file. There. Now all of it's there. See, these were getting cut off. Of course. So let's do this. And we'll put it into output 1. And I'll tell you what this stuff is doing over here in a minute. Alright, so now output 1 is being recorded. It's going to contain my voice, and just to confirm that it's getting everything that I'm telling you it's getting. There we go, there's some audio playing through my speakers. And okay, that ought to do it. Alright, now I'm going to open that file up in VLC to show you guys what the container contains. Alright, so now output 1 is being recorded. It's going to contain my voice, and just to confirm that it's getting everything that I'm telling you. And oh, alright, I gotta play that again. Alright, so now so you could see there that VLC was giving me access to 3 separate audio tracks. Since music wasn't playing the entire time, maybe you couldn't tell. So let's do a better one. Turn the volume down on this. All right. So we're gonna record this, and now you'll see that my voice and the track that's playing can be selected individually and will not overlap except on the first track. And now you'll see that my voice and the individually and will not overlap except on the first track. So that's what the map options do. So yeah. And I noticed that on the first video that I posted, the audio didn't come through for the desktop applications. That was because of an improper setting in OBS that I had set. But here I'm recording with ffmpeg, so I actually know what I'm doing. So that's it. This is the command that I came up with to record stuff, to record multiple audio tracks independently from one another, as well as your screen at at 1920 by 1080 resolution and 60 FPS. I have this over here just to indicate what Pulse thinks is coming through, and show you that the streams themselves, turn it down, show you that the streams themselves are separate, and we're recording them separately so that we can do different things, so that we have control over it when we're editing. Yeah, so that's it. I hope this helps you guys.